Live from the Valley, it's your host, former Miss USA, Nia Sanchez.
Hey, baby. Okay, welcome to the Hold My Crown podcast, where we dive into life, pageants, reality TV, parenting, and so much more. Join us for special guests from your favorite reality shows and some of my very good friends, other beauty queens. This is Hold My Crown.
Hold my crown.
Hello. Welcome to the Hold My Crown podcast. We are starting a new mini series. It is all about your current Miss USA title holders of 2024 joining for a little mini episode to get to know the title holders. And you're also going to be taking away some fun tips and tricks and their favorite moments and experiences in the pageant world. And our very first guest is Kit. Her name is Kaitlyn, but she goes by Kit, and you will find out why in just a moment. She is the incredible Miss Idaho USA 2024. I have loved this conversation, and I'm so excited for you to hear all that she has to share with you. And this is actually happening before she competes for Miss USA. So you're also going to get to hear a little bit of the behind the scenes of what she is looking forward to and maybe a little nervous about when it comes to Miss USA. So without any further ado, let's welcome our guest and get started. Welcome, Kit, Miss Idaho USA.
Hello.
And that's what you go by, Kit, right?
Yes, I do. Kaitlyn is the government name. It's
Okay.
It's my formal
Right.
name. Yes, but I go by Kit.
Okay. And where did Kit come from? Was it like a childhood nickname? Did you just decide that's what you liked? Like, how did that come about?
So I have a twin sister.
Oh, yes. I know. I read that. Okay. Identical, fraternal.
We're fraternal.
Okay.
And our names are Kaitlyn and Kaitlyn.
Oh, my goodness.
So we grew up as like Katie and Casey.
Yeah.
But then Katie was just such a popular name. I had a best friend in the 3rd grade whose name was also Katie.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just as a friend thing, it was like, okay, you're Katie, she's Kit.
Yeah.
And that's how we just grew up together.
Okay.
And then it translated really well into like that Hollywood one-liner
Yeah.
name.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love
it.
It's like it has a star power behind
Yeah.
it. I love that. Okay. I am not going to get too far off subject. So we want to like talk about all the pageant things as well.
Yes.
But twin life, just like tell me like your favorite part of having a twin sister growing up.
So my
And
mom,
least favorite, if you want to.
my mom always got the advice to separate us in class.
Yeah.
And she never did.
Oh.
And so my sister and I are very, very different.
Yeah.
And we also went to college together.
Yeah.
And we were roommates. And then about when we were 23, she moved to New York City.
Okay.
I wanted to travel around and
Yeah.
do something. It was our first time really apart. But we have 2 older brothers and kind of fight like brothers.
Yeah.
But being in the same class, like we had gotten asked the question with our Miss USA sisters, what does being a sister queen mean to you?
Yeah.
And I kind of always really relate back to having a twin sister
Yeah.
because it's just that like wanting to see her shine,
Yeah.
me shine at the same time. Like we have a very special relationship.
I
We'll
love
fight
that.
like boys though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. I don't know if there's anything that's my least favorite. I think once you get over that comparison, I think that's
Yeah.
something as women we deal with all the time. It's kind of become like a superpower.
I love that. Okay, that's good. We'll have to
both
talk
of yours
more.
girls?
They're both girls and they're identical. So that's my only fear as like a mother to girls growing up in the pageant world. And like, I'm in a world of comparison. It's the
Yeah.
pageant world. And then I'm like, okay, I have these 2 like beautiful, sweet little girls. And that's my like biggest fear is like people being mean and comparing them.
Yes.
So it's like, I really want to instill like a really deep like value and self-worth
Yeah.
so that those kind of things don't affect them. They're like,
Hold
whatever.
their relationship close.
Yes. Okay.
Make sure that the comparison doesn't get between them too.
Yeah.
And that I feel like is far
Yeah.
superior.
Okay. I'm going to ask a lot of twin advice off podcast. 'Cause-
One funny thing that I do have to share. So my
Yeah.
mom used to dress us the same,
Yeah.
not because we were twins, but she used to be afraid that someone would think that she loved one twin more than the other if they were cuter, like dressed in a cuter outfit.
Totally.
So we were always matching. I was like the purple and blue girly, and my sister was the red and pink.
Okay. That's how I do it too. It's either like the exact same outfit or like, and it's very specific. One girl has like a slightly darker color. Or light. If it's like 2 pinks, it's like the same outfit, but one's darker, one's lighter. And it's like specific to each girl. So
What are their names?
Isabel and Zariah.
Isabel and Zariah.
Yeah.
So
and I
cute.
wanted them to have very different names because they are identical twins. So I was like, I don't want them to be like, because it was almost going to be Isabel and Abigail.
Stop.
So, and like Izzy and Abby,
Abigail.
like, isn't that cute? I love that. See, it's a cute name. I was like Izzy and Abby for like short, you know? But yeah, we went with Isabel and Zariah, like different names, identical twins, like let them have their own identity.
What a special journey.
Yeah.
It's going to be so fun.
I know. I love it. We'll talk more about twin life off camera. But okay. So what got you into the pageant world? Like we won't make this like super long. These are little mini episodes, but I want to know. And anybody listening that doesn't know who you are, like, this is a very specific world. Like, how did you get into the pageant world?
I got scouted on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maureen Francisco
Stop it.
messaged me on Instagram and said, you look like a pageant girl. I was 25 years old. I had just graduated from college.
Yeah.
I had I think it was like right before the pandemic. I signed up before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And she really sold it to me. Like
Great.
I loved it, and I had a great experience with the girls the first time I ever competed.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of special. The very first time I competed, Kim Lane had won, and so she got first runner-up. And
she's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'm
and
obsessed.
so just having her as a role model
Yeah.
was so delightful and just made my experience into pageantry so amazing. So I didn't grow up doing this.
Okay.
It was kind of like this young adult hobby of mine. And
Totally.
I run a fashion week in my hometown.
Yeah.
And I love hiring pageant women.
Oh my gosh.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. They're the most accomplished, responsible, on top of it young women.
Yep. They're going to be on time.
And then just everything has like kind of felt like, I don't know, like God put me in this place. It really did. Like, and even like with the Barbie movie coming out, when they wait the Miss Universe, they're like, oh, look at the Supreme Court. Like, it just really feels like it's a time that pageantry is really starting to get its flowers. Or I see it at like a, an over the hill kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I just feel really, really lucky to have been crowned during a time like this.
Yeah, totally.
And just to be able to be role models for not only the girls back in Coeur d'Alene, but hopefully everywhere.
Yeah, across the USA. Yeah. So we are recording this before you compete for Miss USA.
Yes.
So I might have to air this like right after you win and be like, the new Miss USA was already on my podcast. That would be so exciting. Then we would obviously have to have you back for now you're Miss USA. What's next? That would be so fun. Mm-hmm. Okay, so tell me more about like what you do in Coeur d'Alene. You host the Fashion Week there. Yes. What else do you do? And then I want to know about your time in France because it sounds magical. But first, tell me all about what you do, whether it's for just work or pageant life. Like, what does your life look like right now?
I was born and raised in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And if you guys don't know where that is, give it a quick Google search. Look at the pictures. It's beautiful.
It's magical. I have family there. It's gorgeous.
It's magical. My father was the mayor. The first election I ever voted in 2014 when I turned 18 was for my dad. It was a nonpartisan election as the mayor. And so I've been in nonpartisan politics for a very, very long time.
Incredible.
Small community politics. And so I was the mayor's daughter for 8 years.
How fun.
I was away in college, and then I moved back in 2021.
Yeah.
When I moved back in 2021, I had a bunch of, rewind, my mom bought a clothing store and then 2 weeks later found out she was pregnant with twins. So my sister and I grew up like steaming clothes, going to market since I was 8 to 12
child
years
labor,
old, 100%.
Or family business.
And it's just so easy to like shade the child labor with its fashion.
Oh, totally.
And so it's dress up.
Exactly. And I grew up in a family business too. I was working at 12 years old, like doing like front desk work and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like I remember being like 8 years old and like giving people their money back.
How
and like
sweet.
Right. And so I came back in 2021 and our business had just blossomed. What my mom built was just so extraordinary. My sister and I graduated from college. We're working other corporate jobs, lost those in the pandemic, and then went back to work with my mom.
Awesome.
We have 2 boutiques in Coeur d'Alene. We have one in Brooklyn, New York, and one in Savannah, Georgia now.
Amazing.
So that's been our expansion since 2020. But
wow. So not just successful like small town business.
No,
expanding.
Like my mom's a businesswoman.
That's
like,
amazing.
And it's been fun. My mom grew up as a foster kid in Coeur d'Alene, and so it's been fun for my sister and I to take our college education that my parents blessed us with. We both got scholarships, but without their opportunities, we never would have been able to like get our education paid for.
Yeah.
And to just like tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, like you make money, girl.
Yeah, like you're a boss. I love that.
Yeah, and so
Amazing.
we've been able to expand. I work as the director of community outreach, which means I take a look at like what women are doing in our community, specifically in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
So city council women. We had one of the, the ASB student president of North Idaho College.
Yeah.
I used to dress her for her speeches.
Yeah.
And so part of my 9-to-5 job is making sure that women in our community don't have that barrier of entry of like what to wear to make sure that they're successful.
Stop it. I'm just empowering women every single day is like your job.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
No, it's so much fun. And even watching some of the most powerful women that I know, you know, senators, representatives, still have that like, oh my gosh, what am I going to wear to Congress? What am I going to wear?
And it's important.
To here? It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important to show up feeling like you can do the job.
Yeah.
And so I'm a stylist.
I love that.
Yeah, and I run charity fashion shows.
That's incredible. That's so awesome. Now, can we totally kind of switch, like flip pages? I want to know about your time living in France. Like, why were you there? How long did you stay? You speak French. Like, tell me all about it.
Français.
Oh my gosh. I wish. Oh my gosh. I'm so jealous.
I studied French. I went to Wofford College, and part of our degree requirement was to study abroad. So I was there for, I think, 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
It was in 2016.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit older.
A long time ago.
Yeah, no, it was a long time ago, but it was a really beautiful time to be in France. There was a couple of just really the terrorist attacks in Nice that happened, and the Paris soccer stadium attacks. And so it was...
That was the time that you were there?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just a very interesting time to watch the French people kind of like rally around each other.
They really did.
And then we just also learned so much about national security. Paris is a massive city.
Yeah.
It is incredibly diverse. It's beautiful. I got to work with Vogue España, and I went to Paris and Milan Fashion Week. Do you want to know what's so crazy? My connection to Vogue Spain was made through a friend in Coeur d'Alene.
Stop it.
Yes. Like the
who in Coeur d'Alene is connected to Vogue Spain? Like what?
One of the basketball players at North Idaho College, his mom was the editor-in-chief.
Wild.
Yeah. Shout out to my friend Lucas.
Yeah.
He just set us up, and I got to go to so many amazing things while I was living in Paris. And you have to.
Were you like Emily in Paris? Did you have like a little like romantic connection and like just explore all the beautiful places? Like, what was your life like?
There are moments. Have you seen Midnight in Paris with Owen Wilson?
No.
You need to watch that.
I know. I'm so sad that I haven't.
It's so fun to watch how in the 20s so many iconic people connected, like Picasso and Dali. And there were times where my twin sister and I would like run around, and we'd be next to the Notre Dame, and there would be a restaurant guy that would grab us and tell us to come eat some foie gras and have some wine.
Oh my gosh.
The pastor, I'm not Catholic, and so pastor of the Notre Dame would come into the restaurant and like priest. The priest, and he would like give us a blessing, and I would kind of be like, what is going on? I feel like this is a dream.
Yeah.
And so Paris is very uniquely kind of like New York.
Yeah.
There are moments where it's a little smelly.
You're like, ooh, this is a real big metropolitan city.
But then you go on a bike and the sun shines just in the right way, and you're like, oh, ooh la la.
Yeah,
this
ooh la la.
is why I'm
Yes.
here.
You are giving me massive like travel bug moments. Yes. It was very random. I was in Germany for visiting family and with my grandma. And then Daniel was like, your birthday's in a few days and I have 5 days off. Should we meet in Paris? And I was like, okay. So I hopped.
We'll meet in Paris.
Yeah.
Were you guys married then?
Yeah, we were married.
You were married. Okay.
Yeah. So I hopped on a train and it was like $100 for like a one-way ticket for a 4-hour train ride. And I ended up in Paris and Daniel hopped on a plane and we met in Paris for my birthday. I think it was my 30th birthday. I was like, it's a big one. We should do this. Birthday. So, but we stayed there for like 5 days and it was just gorgeous. And it's like, it is a very magical city and I'm a history buff. So like, I'm touching like buildings. I'm like, this has been here for so long.
This is
like,
so old.
I love it. I love it. The only things we didn't do were the catacombs. Did you do the catacombs?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Yeah.
I was there for a while. So I got to like space out the tourist attractions.
Disney. Did you do Disney?
I did do Disney.
Okay, good.
Disney was one of the first things I did.
Yeah. As you should.
I did a lot. And then I spent my 21st birthday in Santorini. My twin sister and I went, we were on a honeymoon cruise.
I love it.
Like we were with a bunch of couples.
Why not?
And spending our 21st birthday, and that was magical. Santorini is probably my most favorite place.
Oh, amazing. We'll talk more about travel later. Yeah. So because a few of the girls, your other competitors, they're going to be interviewing today, and then the rest will be after the pageant. So I love to hear this like pre-Miss USA, like thoughts, feelings. What are you looking forward to? What are you most nervous about? Like, how are you feeling about going to Miss USA? And then we kind of have to like wrap it up soon-ish.
I had like the chills on the airplane. Like I kind of started sweating a little bit and I was like, I gotta get the nerves out.
Oh yeah.
Because I need to be in the moment.
Yes.
My pageant journey has been super unique because my platform is something that arose about within the last year and a half.
Yeah.
One of the girls that worked for me at Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week was one of the victims of the Idaho 4 murders.
Yeah.
And then the 2 other young women are from my hometown.
Wow.
And are just so divinely loved between all of my peers. I get to work with so many teenage girls. I'm just around young women all the time.
Yeah.
And hearing about those 3, they were just really special young women. And so I am an advocate and a spokesperson for the Made with Kindness Foundation, which we just had our first gala in June. And we are just getting the ball rolling to making sure that we have scholarships in these girls' names. So young kids in North Idaho can go to college. And just reinforcing the fact that my time at Miss USA is in their honor, but also to just like live out loud as like a young woman.
Yeah.
Because that is what they did.
Yeah.
And so I just am trying to keep that at the forefront of my brain and not get too nervous and have the time of my life.
It's a beautiful inspiration to pull on. I even like with Chesley, my Miss USA sister, and other even family members that are no longer with us. I think like the way that I'm inspired by their life, like let me live my life better, kinder, funnier, sillier, like, you know, just inspired by the people that, you know, leave a beautiful legacy for us. So I love that you get to do that. And that is like a good little thing to hold on to as you're competing, as you're interacting with your other fellow contestants. Like you get to like live life beautifully with like that very specific inspiration. So I love that. That's beautiful. Does any part of the competition make you nervous?
I didn't get the most time to get the most perfect dress.
Okay.
And so evening gown is usually my favorite.
Yeah.
And swimsuit I'm most nervous about.
Yeah.
But I have been working my little booty off and I'm really excited for
girl.
swim. I'm a little nervous for my gown.
Okay.
It's not custom or anything. I
You don't need a
rented it
custom
from
gown.
a designer.
Okay. Amazing.
And we're gonna practice the walk a little bit.
Yeah, you are.
Before then.
Literally every morning, every night, get like in that hallway. All the doors are shut. You're like, this is my runway.
Yes.
Practice your walk. I love it. How have you seen the hotel yet? Are you staying there?
Yeah, I'm staying there.
How is it?
It's beautiful.
I've never
I
been
love
there.
history. I hadn't stayed there before, but I love the Hollywood Roosevelt.
Oh yeah. One of my favorites.
I love the history.
Yeah, totally.
The vintage vibes.
Awesome. Are you, obviously we're planning for you to win Miss USA. Like that would be the dream.
Yeah.
Are you planning on staying in LA after for a little bit? Like either way, like when is your flight home?
My flight home is the 8th, but it's refundable.
Okay. You can just drop that ticket if you need to because you're being flown to Miami to like live your best life as Miss USA.
Refundable.
Yeah.
I'm pretty open.
Yeah. I love that.
To whatever the directorship needs me to do.
Awesome. This is such a pageant question.
Yes.
But I want to know, like, the picture of, like, your life moving forward. Like, where do you see your life in 10 years from now? Like, say you win Miss USA or not. Like, what do you want to do?
If you would have told me in 5 years that I would be coaching pageant girls, I would look at you like you were crazy.
Yeah.
But in some facet, I do want to give back to the pageant community.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be super important, and I hope is in my life in 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's beautiful. It's a good thing to give back to something that you've gained so much from.
Yes.
If you have the opportunity and are able to do that, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I do have to add, I'll like lay on my bed with my boyfriend and listen to your podcast with Daniel. And there are times where he'll go, see, babe, Daniel doesn't know the answer to pageant questions either.
No, he does not sometimes. And he was my coach though. Like he will say like, we won Miss USA.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like when I got the
that.
crown, when we were back in the suite and he put the crown on, he's like, we did it. Not you did it. We did it.
Chills. That's the cutest thing.
Oh yeah. And even like,
so he knows the game. He knows the
he's
sport
like in
to
it. Exactly. Because he's like such a competitive like man in like sports. He's like, we're doing this. Like we're going all the way. Like let's practice. So even leading up to Miss USA, I remember sitting in my room with my headphones and FaceTiming him, and he was like drilling questions.
Yeah.
And just to give you like a little bit of piece, there was one question, like say if you're practicing questions all the way up to it, there was one question that I just didn't have like the exact right answer for. And as like he's like a challenger in a good way, like always trying to like uplift and like help you up level.
Yeah.
But I'm a girl. And I was like,
not having it.
No, watch how you talk to me. But he was like, come on, babe. Like, we're down to the wire. You answer questions in like a day. Like you can't stumble. Like this is like the moment. And I was like, this is what practice is for. Like, I'm glad you asked me that question that I need to like really think on. So I'm ready if it gets asked. So like, even if you have moments where you're like practicing and not quite perfect, give yourself grace because it's like, that's what practice is for. Let me get it out now.
And it'll come to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. And like totally like, own that and believe that when you're competing. Like I know exactly what I need to say. I know who I am. I know how I feel about the world. So I'm going to speak from the heart. This is like one of my favorite questions to ask when I'm like practicing mock interview, just because I want to see if you have an answer for it. And if you don't, it's fine. But like, what is your most embarrassing moment? The reason I ask is because I talked about my most embarrassing moment.
I listened to it.
Yeah.
I literally practiced this question like 2 days ago, you guys.
Oh, good. What's your most embarrassing moment?
I embarrass myself daily. I flagged down the wrong person. I truly am someone who I think that needed to get over the fact that I embarrass myself daily.
Right. There's a new strength that comes from that. Like, whatever. I'm embarrassed all the time.
I went to like a high school football game with my dress tucked into my underwear. Like, they're just, and that's like not even I could like unroll.
You're like, I have a whole list of stories.
And so I think that like instilling some humor into your life that is just crucial.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm klutzy. I'm all the things.
I love it. Okay. When you are giving up your title, what do you want like your legacy to be? When people think, okay, Kit was an incredible Miss Idaho USA or Miss USA, this is what I remember most about her. Mm-hmm. What do you want your legacy to be?
I had a friend text me last night and I messaged her back and I said, I'm saving this message for any time that I get down.
Yeah.
But she just said that I've really wanted to stay true to myself.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I don't wear makeup on social media. Like I was a college athlete and that's just not how I competed.
Yeah.
And so she messaged me and said, you're obviously wearing what you want and think is appropriate. And so thank you for all the style queens.
Yeah.
But I think my legacy, I want young women to be able to take risks.
I love that.
Because, it's not always safe for us to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And recognizing where taking risks is empowerment. And I think with your wardrobe and expressing yourself in pageantry is one of those times to really take that safely.
Yeah. I love that so much. So hold on. How did you just do one pageant and win? Like what's your pageant journey like?
Yeah.
Because you got scouted.
Yes. I competed 3 times at Idaho.
Okay.
The last time I had competed at Idaho, it had just been so long. I started my master's program, really thought my pageant career was over.
Yeah.
And then I was working on internship in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's give it one more go. It's funny. I was telling a friend, I was like, I'm not really in the pageant world. And then he goes, you just competed for 2 pageants in 1 year.
Yeah.
Like you're solidified into the
You're
pageant
in
world.
the pageant world.
So I competed at Utah.
Okay.
And then Idaho after the age limit raise because Utah would have been my last time being able to make the USA stage.
Oh, wow.
And then they raised the age limit. So I came back and won Idaho. So I've competed 5 total times to go to Miss USA.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And, I really, truly believe everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
I agree.
How it's supposed to happen. Maybe you wouldn't have felt as prepared if you won 2 or 3 years ago. But now this is your time.
Most
this is your time
definitely.
to shine. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Me.
Is there anything else we need to know? Where can everyone find you on social media? Let us know.
You can follow me, Champagne Kitty, without the first A.
Okay.
On Instagram and on TikTok.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What's your TikTok like? Like what kind of content do you have?
I have very relatable, real content. I try to be a little funny.
I love it.
But then I also show like my day-to-day life, some of my styling stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Hold My Crown podcast with Miss Idaho USA, Kit. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. We'll see you next week. Bye.